Hello, everyone, and welcome to Allianz Joy today on this beautiful Saturday. I have a few things to share with you that I'm excited about. And I want to welcome you if you are live on television right now with Win Win Women TV or on Roku or Apple TV or Amazon Fire. So, welcome to my show. This episode is all about the 10, or this episode actually, the 5. We're going to do this in 2 parts. 5 toxic habits that you want to avoid. I love talking about this. I used to do this in a group. So this was a group workshop. The habits you want to avoid that are not good for you emotionally, mentally, and physically, and they have an outcome that you don't want. So let's go over a few of those things. Again, I'm Eliane Haan. Welcome to be here, or glad to be here. Welcome to you. We're going to talk about this because I am a life coach. I help people mid-age and midlife transformational coaching, right? So I help people feel better, even if they get through trauma, if they get through PTSD, if they are working on things from the past, we are working forwards, we are moving forwards together. And I always find a lot of things to think about, right? That is just what I love to do. And I also work as a yoga and Tai Chi instructor. So I also work with people on physical health and well-being. So all these things tied together as a triangle, right? I always talk about that triangle transformation. We need to be, mentally a little bit updated. We want to grow. We want to keep a good mindset. I talked about that last week. We want emotional balance and we want physical strength, physical health. We want to just work on our balance all the time, right? Because those are the things that are coming into play when you get a little older. So today, we're just going to go over habits. I wrote about that in my book, 60 Miles from Neiman's. It's my biography. I wrote about the things that I used to, let's say, not be so proud of. And where you have learned from, how we are learning in life and how we're getting to these parts where we are just really feeling that we can do something for ourselves in a different way and that we have learned from the mistakes that we made. Um, and that's what I'm going to bring up today. Some of these things that, oh, I was guilty of, or oh, I can still think about that, or I kind of catch myself thinking about things that are not so good for myself. But now I know why not. So let's tackle some of these things. The habits, the toxic habits that we really want to avoid. Number one is being envious of others. It is really not good for us. Envy is a feeling of discontent, resentment towards other people's qualities or their possessions or their achievements. And it can have so many effects on your health. While envy itself is really a complex emotion and it's influenced by very, very many or by many factors, there are some ways it might impact your well-being, right? And you just don't want that. You want to be really, really careful of that. And why in the first place, right? You are unique and you have so many things that you can be proud of. You have probably already so many things achieved. As women, we tend to not look back and look at all our accomplishments and achievements. So what we really want to try to do here is to try to see if we can focus completely on ourselves and our own emotional, mental growth and well-being, and not get carried away by things that are, indeed possessions, or that we would like to have because somebody else has it, or that we would like to do because somebody else does it. Now, if you copy somebody, I always say if that's for a good reason and you want to share knowledge, you want to share facts, you want to share something for yourself, you do this in a certain way where you copy others, that's a completely different thing. I always say, right, if you copy, it's a high form of flattery to the person that you are copying because you learn something from them, or maybe they are a mentor, like in my case a lot, right? I copy what my coach tells me to do, or I copy something that he or she has done or that I get from a mentor, right? So we all have our learning systems in place and we want to just be aware of that. But one of the things that we really do not want to do is be envious or jealous of others. It really causes stress and it causes you to go into this negative emotion spiral, right? And it leads to feelings for yourself towards yourself of inadequacy, self-doubt, frustration. I can never have this, I can never have that. You're constantly comparing yourself to others, and that's just very stressful. It causes anxiety. It might even spiral into depression. And it's also physically increasing your cortisol levels. And that's those hormones, right? Those stress hormones that are in your body. And high levels of cortisol release can have very, very bad effects on your immune system and on your sleep patterns, right? Lack of sleep, and of course, your overall physical health. So that's very important that we kind of keep a little bit track of the physical implications that those emotions can have on you. And of course, it has an effect on your relationship, right? Resentment again, and just feeling that you're not in the right place with somebody because maybe you had this perfect picture of where you wanted to be, this perfect picture of where you are comparing your lifestyle to other lifestyles. And maybe that's not even the reality. Maybe we don't even know what finds place behind those doors, and we just don't want to go there. But it's definitely not good for your relationship. It might even cause bitterness, right? Or social isolation. It is something that you want to be very aware of. And then in some cases, envy even drives people into unhealthy coping mechanisms. Sometimes we just drive that, we have those things where we're going to overeat, or we go into substance abuse, alcohol, drugs, right? We don't want to have that as a coping mechanism because we are envying things that other people might have or do. So it's not good for our self-esteem and self-worth. We want to definitely stay away from that. So it's very important that we understand that envy is not good for your health. It is not good for your health. Now, copying or walking the path that is positive and that somebody else sets for you or helps you with, as I do as a coach, and I have a coach, and I am a coach. So if people are just doing the way or walking the path that I have helped them find, then that's a completely different thing, right? And there's a little paperwork maybe involved, or a couple of steps toward the things that we need to do. We have to take action. And I might even say, do what I do. So that is a copy form, and that will maybe lead to positive results, right? Because that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to help people gain positive results and get your sexy back. It's the number one thing that I do, get your sexy back, right? In a really, really good way, a really good way. So let's go to number two. Number two of the toxic habits that you want to avoid is playing the victim. Playing the victim is not good for your health, not good for your emotional well-being. It is really important that we understand that, because what it does, it takes your own powers away. It is a reduce of your own personal agency, of your ability to be in control over your own life. It is very important that you constantly make attributions to positive experiences in your life instead of just saying that somebody took it away, somebody took your power away, and because of that, you are just not feeling it anymore, that you have leadership, that you have agency of your own actions, and the things that you want to pursue, right? The journey that you want to walk. So if you are feeling those negative experiences and circumstances around people, because they are taking that away, then that might increase your emotions, your self-doubt, your self-esteem, and your inability to take care of things. So that can be, sometimes it can be a partner. I have been in that relationship in the past, and it might also be very intimidating, right? It might be very controlling or dominating, to where you actually slowly become the victim. You don't even know that. Sometimes you're not even aware of it. Sometimes it kind of slips into a relationship of control where one is the dominating person and the other one is not. But the victim mode that you feel in, is very, very bad for your health. It's one of these things where you are feeling more and more dependency, you feel more helplessness. It is a change in situation that might even slip in really slowly because you let others lead the way for you. And it is just a feeling of slipping away. It's a feeling of slipping away. Of course, it can strain your relationships. Sometimes it is because of what I call emotional blackmail, right? You just don't do this because I already got it, or if you don't do this, then I'm gonna do that, or I'm not gonna do that. There is so many uh, these dynamics that might slip in a relationship where ultimately you just kind of give up. But when you give up, that mindset that can reinforce those feelings of incapable, you know, taking action, not being able to see and to conquer challenges in life, and you're just kind of slipping into a really bad place. And we don't want to go there. You could become frustrated, you become fatigued. It's all very unhealthy. It's not good for your health, again, not physically and not emotionally. And of course, we're going back there, right? Because anything that happens here, whoa, will go just straight down your body. And it's really stagnating you. A victim feeling, is really also holding you from personal growth. And you don't want to look further because you feel that you can do it. We want to always grow. I always want to empower you. I want to lift you up. I want to make you see that you can constantly grow. And even like one of my heroes this week, rest in peace, Tina Turner had passed away, and she had been such a victim of a terrible abuse situation. And when she was so young and she had a baby, she had absolutely nothing after just walking away from a very abusive situation. Of course, we have all been, to a certain extent, victims in our lives. We all have a bag full. We all have that little package that we are carrying. But if you can see that you can get out of that and you can grow and move forward and regain that strength and regain that control of your own life, that is what important. First, you need to see it and accept the situation as is and try to move forward out of that. And I love helping people with that, right? It has negative emotions. All these negative emotions are not good for your well-being. So it also, at some point, when it limits growth, right, your victim feelings, it limits your growth, and it also just ultimately leads to isolation and really a decrease in problem solving because you just again think that you can't handle that world. In my book, I wrote that life doesn't get any easier, but you get better at it. You really get better at it. And if you are willing to grow, and if you are willing to move forward, then I'm the first one here to help you, right? And to open so many new doors because we have so many capacities, we have so much inner strength. We just have to tap back into that. We're gonna go to number three. Number three, being judgmental. Being judgmental is definitely a toxic habit that you want to avoid. A long time ago, years ago, I told myself I'm going to practice not being judgmental at all. I have way too much on my own plate. I have enough to think about and to grow with and to grow from and to look into, that I don't need to be at all in somebody else's life. And I also did a lot of Buddhist training, and a lot of Christian training, a lot of reading, and from all of that, a lot of Taoist belief training. But from all of it together just came mind your own business, right? Because we are in business with ourselves. We are in business in a sense of taking control, right? Be your own boss and see what you can do and contribute to the world. Where's your purpose? Where's your why? What can you do without being busy about others and judge them for something that they're doing? Now, it's not always fun. I totally agree with that. And I sometimes really, of course, have thoughts of, yes, I have thoughts of, wow. And I leave that in my own head. Sometimes it even gets a little room there. If you let a room and rent too long, right? If you let something rent too long up here and sit there, then you have another whole bunch of unhealthy outcome. It's going to stagnate. You're going to ruminate about things. You're going to think. You're going to overthink it. It's unhealthy. It's going to lead to anxiety again and to bad and negative emotions and feelings. So if we just leave the world for what it is and we try not to be judgmental, how wonderful would that be? Unless we are asking somebody for an honest opinion, we might not even like it, or we might give them one. And we might sometimes, I am straightforward, right? That's what I call my coach approach. I am pretty much straightforward. So if you have an answer, you're going to get an answer. If you have a question, from me, you're going to get an answer. Maybe not so likable. I will always say it with love first, right? I love you, but if there's something that you need to know that you can grow from, then let's embrace that. Let's embellish that. Let's love that. It's wonderful. But if it's just preconceived notions, if it's just biases, if it's just personal standards from somebody else, if it's just opinions, people that are making evaluations and want to just dump that on you, right? That is not your growth. That does have nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with you. So if you're doing that because you heard it through the grapevine, or you are believing things that is not your own, that is not something that you have experienced, it can constantly, if you're constantly doing that, if you're constantly judging, right, it can just strain all your relationships at work, personal, at home, friends, family. It is limiting your perspective your perspective of forming your own opinions about things that you need to know, about seeing things that you can do. It is very biased. It is very prejudiced. It is not nice. And why would you not? Sometimes in Buddhism, or also in yoga, I used it a lot. We have a metta meditation, right? That is a loving meditation. I learned a lot from that. I learned that we can, even if we are not really getting along, or if we are having difficulties in relationships, or if we are just not matching in relationships, partners, friends, marriages, if we are just not matching, sometimes with the kids, or sometimes clashing with our parents, sometimes it is okay to be that way, because you can still love them for what they are. That is just not a match for you. You can believe in that meta meditation, or in that meta thought, or in that meta concept, or in that concept of having loving kindness all around you, that there is a reason for people to walk or go in a different pace than you, or believe different things than you do, or act in a different way, or do things that you might not even agree with. But let them be, right? Let everybody be. Let's try not to be judgmental. I also tried that again this year and made it a thing that I practiced for Lent, for instance. So it doesn't always have to be stay away from chocolate or stay away from the goodies. It might just be something that you tell yourself for the next 2 months, I'm going to stay away from judgment. And if I do have a strong opinion about something, then keep it to myself. If you don't have anything nice to say, let's not do it. It just increases again stress and negativity, and it doesn't have a good impact on your relationships. It just actually doesn't look good on you. It's important if you want to find that sexy bag, right? That we stay away from that. You might even miss opportunities to be with people, right? So we want to go there. Number 4, let's go to number 4 today. So number 1 was being envious, stay away from that. Playing the victim, stay away from that. Number 3, being judgmental. Number 4, let's not act immorally just because you can get away with it. Now, that might be very self-explanatory to you. That might be something that you totally, yeah, duh, of course, right? But people do. And it's maybe something I used to do this in groups And I had a group workshop with this, and there was an honesty factor there, right? A trust and a building of relationships together. It was important in this group that we would just tell ourselves that we had experienced that. And of course, I had to tell myself, and also teaching and working through this workshop and sharing, yes, sharing that I had done that in the past, right? I was immorally doing things because I could get away with it. It doesn't really look good. And if I think back of it, it causes some form of guilt and shame. And now we have to get over that, which I did, right? That's what I tell people too as well. We have to get away from these emotions because that guilt and shame are not healthy at all. But that's for another show. And I talked about that a lot, a lot. But what it does, it makes people look different at you for your personal integrity. It doesn't build trust, right? Engaging in immoral actions, or even laughing about it, or still kind of embracing what you did, right? It's just not even looking good on you anymore, right? And it can definitely just kind of like um, um, hurt your integrity. It can hurt the trustful relationships that you can build with others, right? Even if it doesn't have immediate consequences, it does always have an impact in the future. It always comes to the light. The truth always comes out. It always comes forward. So it will definitely be damaging in relationships with other people, at work, definitely. And it almost, and maybe you realize that was maybe a little bit more of that when you were younger, sometimes even because we didn't really understand all the consequences and the moral impact, but it might even reinforce unethical behavior. It might even be something that you want to do again. And we don't want to go there. We just do want to go to better behavior, better impacts, better relationships, definitely better communication. So that is so important. Let's not even talk about the outcome of the negative impact on society, the potential long-term consequences. Toxic habit, number 4. Let's not go there. Not good for your character development. Not good for you. Stay away from acting immorally. Very important. It's very important. And I'm coming to the last point for today, and it has a little bit to do with that thought process of immoral thinking, immoral actions, or number 5 is creating a false persona. And some people have created a false persona. They just, again, could do that because there's people that believe that, and there's people that, believe you for a while. But of course, that comes to the surface, right? You're inconsistent with your identity, with who you really are. You're inconsistent with your characteristics, or what you stand for, your values. Right? You don't want to do that. You don't want to adopt a false persona. It is very um, uh, uh, un, becoming. Unbecoming is a nice word for what you want to do. It is not authentic. It's not your authentic self. It will also have an impact of your relationship. The truth always comes forward. And people go like, oh, I thought you were like this, and now you're like that. I thought you were completely different. And sometimes that happens, even if that happens in kind of like an unaware way. Maybe we want to uh, portray ourselves in a certain way when we just start meeting and dating somebody, right? That might be the case. Or maybe we do feel a little bit of an imposter syndrome. And because of that imposter syndrome, we're creating a persona that has a completely um, different look on things than you actually really stand for, right? So it has ultimately heavy emotional and physical and psychological, can't talk anymore, burden on the person you really are. The outcome of all this is just anxiety, stress, isolation, loneliness, right? We do not want to create any of these toxic habits. or if we have them, it's okay, but let's recognize them. If we recognize them, we can work on it. If we recognize them, we can do something with it. If we recognize them, we can accept them for what they are and say, hey, I really want to work on this. I really want to grow. I really want to grow out of this. So let's not go into an identity crisis or confusion. Let's not go into that judgmental state of mind. Let's not go away. Let's not throw away these moral values that you have and go crazy, right? We want to just stay with a good path that we are creating forwards. I love to share all these things with you. Absolutely love to share all these things with you. And if we are going to create a little bit of um, a discussion, please do. Please reach out. Please let me know what you think. Please say, yay, thumbs up if you like the points. Please come visit me next week, because then we can talk about it, or whenever we pick up the next 5, right, in 2 weeks. So if you're feeling that you would love to have a discussion with me, or that you would even like to reach out to do some coaching together, there's always, always, always a free introduction session with me, a free discovery session. You just have to reach out. Find me on www.elianhaan.com, or find my book, 60 Miles from Neiman's, on Amazon. And of course, watch the shows, follow me on YouTube. All those good links are on my website or on my link tree, Elian Haan. Give me some feedback, guys. I'd love to have you here. I'm grateful for you beautiful women to listen and to pay attention. Men, if you're listening, I love it. Everybody, let me know, reach out. I am so grateful you were here today. And have a wonderful, make it a wonderful, amazing, fabulous, super, super, super day. I will see you next week. Thank you so much for watching Elian's Joy. Till next time.